Hi everyone, it's Lynn Norusis with the Focus on Nova team here to talk to you a little bit about what we have been seeing coming out of somewhat the summer market and what we have seen a week and a half into all of the rules and regulation changes that have come down in regard to the NAR DOJ lawsuit. So, not going into great detail about that. I'm going to link below to a post we did before about what that settlement was about and what that looks like. So first and foremost, coming into the fall market. So the big question right now that a lot of people are asking is, when is the fall market actually going to start? Typically, we historically have seen that the fall market usually starts right after Labor Day. However, the big caveat that is happening this year is a lot of agents and brokers and just people in the industry are really kind of questioning, with a lot of the Northern Virginia school systems going back so early this year, is the fall market going to start a little bit sooner? I can tell you myself, buyer activity has picked up a lot on my end from the handful of buyers that I'm working with and speaking with other agents, not only on our team, but other agents throughout the industry in Northern Virginia. They're starting to see a little bit more of an uptick, starting a little bit sooner. So I think everyone is kind of sitting and waiting to see what happens there. The other news regarding when is fall market going to start is really drawn kind of by what the Fed is going to do. So we've been hearing rumblings, hints at the Fed is potentially going to be doing a rate drop come September. While mortgage interest rates are not tied to that, they do obviously have an effect on it. So that is something that everybody is kind of also watching to see how that really affects the market. Right now, rates are sitting on average for a 30-year fixed conventional loan right around kind of like that 6.5. Obviously, interest rates are very dependent on what your personal finances are, but that's what they are seeing right now. And we have seen them obviously come down a little bit throughout the summer. So the second question is, what is the market looking like? So I have a couple numbers looking at the past 30 days. So we are just coming out of our summer market. Right now, as of August 27th, when I'm recording this, there are 440 coming soon properties that are going to be coming on the market. We have 2,446 active properties, so a good amount of ones out there. Now, granted, all of this is all of Northern Virginia and includes all types of properties, so single family, townhome, and condos. We have 1,156 that are active under contract and 1,392 that are pending, so giving a total of 2,548 that are actually under contract as of right now. And then also looking at the past 30 days, we have seen 2,328 closings. And for that, the median is sellers were getting 100% of their closed to list price. So whatever they listed at, that's what they were closing at, kind of exactly at that 100% mark. And they were on the market for 8 days. So saw it slow a little bit for activity in regard to kind of the urgency of properties going under contract, but still 8 days is pretty small. Now, lastly, one thing that I do want to talk about is what has been happening. So we've been a week and a half into these changes, and basically the biggest thing I keep thinking is kind of that old adage of, if you don't ask, you're not going to get an answer. So the big thing, concessions are now talked about a lot more and in different varieties, because now it is very definitive. A buyer has to pay their agent, a seller has to pay their agent based on whatever contracts they have written and agreed to. And then secondly, it is now part of the actual contract that you are writing to a seller, which is if a buyer wants to ask the seller to help pay for some of those compensation costs, they can do that. And we're seeing a lot of confusion still, both on buyers, sellers, and honestly on the agent side as well, to where everyone's trying to kind of are freaking out as to, well, how do we go about talking about this and how do we get this in? It's very simple. Buyer, put in your contract what you're asking the seller to pay for. Seller, look at not only what if someone is asking you to pay for their buyer agency. It doesn't matter. It all comes down to the ultimate net of what you are going to garner as a seller, and buyer, it is going to be the ultimate net as to what you are paying for the property and what other contingencies or concessions are involved with that, because there's also a buyer can ask for closing cost concessions. So it's all now just truly and ultimately negotiable. So like I said, biggest thing, if you don't ask, you're not going to know the answer. Worst case, they say no, and then you have a decision to make. So it's going to play out. A lot of us think it's going to take a couple months for people to truly get comfortable with this and understand what the process is going to be, but we will be keeping you up to date throughout to give you guys the best fresh news and ideas as to what we are seeing throughout all of Northern Virginia. If you have any questions when it comes to real estate or Northern Virginia in general, don't hesitate to reach out to the Focus on Nova team.